I could feel the rope cutting into my wrists. My mouth was dry. My heart beat so fast that I thought it would burst out of my chest. I heard laughter and music outside. The wedding party was still going on. People were dancing, eating, celebrating. No one knew that I, the groom's own mother, was tied to a chair inside a dark, dusty storehouse behind the hall. And the person standing in front of me, staring at me with cold eyes, was my own daughter-in-law. "Just cooperate," she whispered, her voice shaking even though she tried to act strong. "Once they pay the ransom, you'll be free." I looked at her, still wearing her beautiful white wedding dress. Her veil was pushed to the side, her makeup smudged from sweat, and her eyes were filled with a strange mix of fear and greed. I couldn't believe what was happening. Not on her wedding day, not on the happiest day of her life. Why would she do this? Why would she involve me in such darkness? Before I could answer my own questions, the old wooden door creaked. Someone was coming. I heard footsteps, heavy ones, the kind that made the floor vibrate. My daughter-in-law quickly hid behind a stack of crates, leaving me alone. I held my breath as the shadow of a tall man stretched across the room. And the door slowly opened. That was the moment everything went wrong. "My name is Margaret. I'm a grandmother of 4, a retired teacher, and a woman who believed that weddings were meant to bring families together, not tear them apart. If anyone had told me that my son's wedding would nearly cost me my life, I would have laughed. My son, Andrew, had always been gentle and respectful. When he told me he found the woman he wanted to marry, I was so happy for him. Her name was Olivia, soft-spoken, polite, well-mannered. She always smiled whenever she came around, and she acted like she adored me. I thought she was perfect for my boy. But life has a strange way of hiding its darkest secrets behind the brightest smiles. I remember the morning of the wedding. The sun was shining, birds were chirping. The whole house smelled of the fresh bread my granddaughter had baked for breakfast. I wore my best blue gown, the one I saved for special days. I spent extra time looking in the mirror, tucking my silver hair behind my ears. I felt proud, emotional. My last child was getting married. It felt like a final chapter in a long book full of sacrifices. When I arrived at the venue, everything looked magical. White flowers covered the entrance. Guests dressed in their finest clothes moved around, greeting one another with laughter and hugs. The wedding planner rushed past me, shouting instructions and fixing decorations. Andrew stood in a corner with his friends, trying to hide his nervousness. The moment I saw Olivia walking down the aisle, she looked like a dream. Her gown sparkled under the lights. Her smile glowed. Anyone would think she was an angel. But angels don't kidnap people. Angels don't demand ransom money from their own new family. Looking back now, maybe there were warning signs. Maybe I ignored them because I wanted the wedding to be perfect. The first strange thing happened shortly before the ceremony. Olivia's maid of honor came running to me, her face pale. "Mrs. Margaret," she whispered, "Olivia said she needs you backstage. She said it's urgent." I frowned. Urgent? What could be urgent on her wedding day? "I don't know," the girl said, wiping sweat from her forehead. "She just said you must come alone." Alone, maybe that should have been my first clue. But as a mother, I didn't want problems. I wanted peace. So I followed her instructions. When I reached the small backstage room behind the hall, Olivia was standing there alone. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes were red like she had been crying. "Mom," she said softly, "can I talk to you? Please close the door." I stepped in and closed the door gently behind me. "What is it, dear? Are you scared? Cold feet?" She shook her head. "No, it's something else, something serious." My heart skipped. "Serious? Do you want to cancel the wedding?" She sniffed and wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "It's about Andrew." Immediately, my body tensed. What happened to him? She looked down at her hands. "He's in trouble, Mom, deep trouble." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. "What do you mean trouble? He was fine just now." "That's what I want to explain. Please come with me. I don't want anyone else to hear." She opened the side door and gestured for me to follow. I hesitated. Something felt wrong. But the fear for my son pushed me forward. I walked behind her down a narrow path that led behind the hall. Instead of turning toward the dressing rooms, she led me toward a gate that opened into a back compound filled with empty crates. "Where is Andrew?" I asked. "He's inside," she said, pointing to the small storehouse. My steps slowed. Why would he be inside there? That place looks abandoned. Olivia turned to me with tears rolling down her cheeks. "Please, Mom, just trust me." Trust, that word cut deep, because I trusted her, more than I should have. The moment I stepped into the storehouse, everything went dark. Someone grabbed me from behind. A cloth covered my mouth. My scream disappeared into the fabric. Strong hands tied my wrists. My legs kicked uselessly. I heard Olivia shouting, "Be careful, don't hurt her." Then the door slammed. I was kidnapped. By my daughter-in-law. On her wedding day. When I finally woke up, my hands were tied to a wooden chair. My head felt heavy. Olivia stood in front of me, her face pale. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I don't want to hurt you, I just need the money." "The money?" I croaked. "What money? Why are you doing this?" She swallowed hard. "Because your son refused to help me. He said he had no money. He said we should start small. But I can't live a poor life, Mom. I can't. I made a plan. If your family pays the ransom, we will have enough to start life in a big way." My heart broke into pieces. "You kidnapped me, so you can start married life with ransom money." She nodded slowly. Tears filled her eyes again, but I couldn't tell if they were real or fake. Before I could speak again, I heard footsteps approaching. Heavy footsteps. Someone else was involved, someone dangerous, someone I didn't know. When the tall man entered the storehouse, he looked at me like I was an object, not a human being. And that was when I knew this wasn't just Olivia's plan. There were other people involved, people who wouldn't care if I lived or died. And as he walked closer, the room felt darker and colder. That was the moment everything spiraled out of control. And that was how my nightmare truly began. The tall man stepped fully into the storehouse, and the moment he did, the air changed. It felt heavier, colder, like danger had a smell and it had just filled the room. He was broad-shouldered. The kind of man who didn't need to talk to make people afraid of him. His face was rough, marked with scars that told stories I didn't want to hear. His eyes were dark and empty, eyes that looked like they had seen too many terrible things and didn't care anymore. Olivia stepped out from behind the crates, her body trembling. She looked so small standing next to him, like a frightened child who had made a terrible mistake but didn't know how to fix it. "She's awake," the man said in a deep voice, not looking at her, not looking at me, just stating a fact. Olivia nodded quickly. "Yes." He moved closer, his heavy boots echoing on the floor. I tried to stay brave, but my heart hammered against my ribs. As he reached me, he bent down slowly until his face was a few inches from mine. I could smell the cigarette on his breath. "So," he said softly, "this is the mother of the groom." Olivia swallowed hard. "Please don't hurt her. I told you, I only need the money." He chuckled, a low, dry laugh that made my skin crawl. "Money doesn't fall from the sky, sweetheart. You want ransom. We have to make the family scared enough to pay." Those words hit me like a blow, scared enough to pay. What did that mean? What were they planning? I glared at Olivia. "This is how you want to start your marriage, by kidnapping your husband's mother." She looked away, tears forming again. "I didn't plan it like this. I needed a way out of my problems." "Out of problems," I said. "You could have talked to us, you could have talked to Andrew, he loves you." She shook her head. "Love isn't enough. Love can't buy a house. Love can't pay debts." Debts. So there it was. A piece of the truth slipping out like an accidental confession. "What kind of debts?" I asked, but Olivia wouldn't answer. Instead, the tall man stepped between us. "Enough talking." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a phone. "We're calling your family. They need to know we mean business." My heart almost stopped. Andrew, my grandchildren, my friends at the wedding. My family would be panicking by now, wondering why I disappeared. And now they were about to get the biggest shock of their lives. Olivia touched the man's arm nervously. "Not yet, please. Let me talk to her a little more." The man gave her a cold stare. "You're getting too soft." "I'm not," she insisted. "She's family." "Family," he scoffed. You tied her up. Olivia had no answer for that, and neither did I. But before anything else could happen, the man walked to the door and locked it with a loud metallic click. Then he dragged a chair in front of me and sat down like he was settling in for a long conversation. "Let's begin," he said, lifting the phone. I closed my eyes, praying silently for strength. Hours earlier, before my nightmare started, the wedding reception was filled with joy. I remember sitting at a round table, smiling as friends greeted me. "Your son found a good woman," one of them said, lifting her glass. "Yes," I replied, forcing myself to believe it. Children ran past my table, laughing. One of my grandsons came to sit on my lap, eating a small slice of cake. Everything felt peaceful, beautiful, normal. I didn't know that behind all the decorations and fake smiles, chaos was brewing. I didn't know Olivia had received a suspicious message that morning. I didn't know her secret past was catching up with her. I didn't know she had made a dangerous deal months before meeting my son. I didn't know the man she owed money to had shown up at the wedding. And I didn't know that Olivia had made a desperate decision to use me as the ransom key. While everyone danced, while laughter filled the air, Olivia was slipping away from the crowd, texting someone behind the hall. I didn't see the tension in her eyes. I didn't notice how she kept checking her phone. I didn't notice her whispering to the maid of honor. I was too busy taking pictures with guests, too busy celebrating the new beginning of my son's life. Little did I know, I was walking straight into the hands of danger. Back in the storehouse, Olivia moved closer to me, her hands trembling. "Mom, I'm sorry," she whispered again. "I didn't want to do this." The tall man rolled his eyes. "Stop apologizing. She'll be fine if they pay quickly." I lifted my chin despite my fear. "And if they do?" The man smiled slowly. Olivia flinched. "They will," she said quickly. "Andrew loves his mother too much." "Exactly," the man replied. "Which means we need to help him understand the seriousness of the situation." He clicked a button on the phone and put it on speaker. My breath caught. The phone rang once. Twice. Then, "Hello, Mom," Andrew's voice shook. "Mom, where are you? Everyone is looking for you. Are you okay, Mom?" The man put a finger to his lips, warning me not to speak. "This," he said, leaning toward the phone, "is not your mother." "What? Who are you? Where is she?" "She is alive for now." My heart broke hearing the panic in my son's voice. "Listen carefully," the man continued. "We have her, and if you want her back, you will pay us 10 million. 10 what? Andrew shouted. "We don't have that kind of money." The man smirked. "You have friends, you have family, you have time, but not much." I saw Olivia squeeze her dress as if she hated everything happening, yet felt trapped. "Please," Andrew begged. "Just let me talk to my mother, please." The man turned to me, his eyes cold. "Say something, but don't shout for help." He held the phone in front of my face. "Andrew," my voice trembled. "I'm alive, don't worry, just do what they say." "Mom, are you hurt? Are you tied? Mom, please tell me where you are." The man pulled the phone away. "That's enough," he said, ending the call. Tears streamed down my face. I didn't want to worry my son. I didn't want him to go through that pain, but I had no choice. The man stood up, stretching his arms. "Good, now they understand." Olivia covered her face with her hands. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. The man grabbed her wrist roughly. "Shut up, you brought me here. You begged me to help you. Now let me do my job." She winced in pain but didn't fight him. I suddenly realized something important. Olivia wasn't the mastermind. She wasn't the leader. She wasn't the one in control. She was stuck. Just like me. And maybe, just maybe, she wasn't as dangerous as I thought. But before I could figure out how to use that to my advantage, something happened that froze the blood in my veins. A loud crash came from the outside. Then a scream. Then frantic footsteps running across the compound. The man turned toward the door, frowning. Olivia's eyes widened. "What was that?" she whispered. The man stood very still, listening. Another scream. This one familiar. My granddaughter. Then, fire, fire, someone help, fire. The man cursed loudly. Olivia gasped, fire. Here. And that was the moment everything changed again. The nightmare was far from over. It was only beginning. For a few seconds, no one moved. Not the tall man. Not Olivia. Not even me, though my heart was pounding so loudly I could hear my pulse in my ears. The word fire floated in the air like smoke, settling slowly, and then everything exploded into motion. The man rushed to the door, pressing his ear against it. Olivia's hands flew to her mouth, her whole body shaking. I strained against the ropes, my skin burning where they cut into my wrists. Another scream echoed from outside, this time deeper, filled with real fear. Help, please, somebody help. I recognized the voice immediately. It was Lily, my granddaughter. She had followed me to the bathroom earlier, asking for more cake. The sound of her terrified voice stabbed me like a knife. The tall man cursed again. This wasn't part of the plan. Olivia ran toward him. What do we do? What if the fire reaches this building? What if someone comes here? He shoved her away. Shut up, I'm thinking. But he wasn't just thinking, he was panicking. His calm, cold face had cracked, revealing something else underneath. Fear, real fear. The type of fear people show when they realize everything is spinning out of their control. I knew something they didn't know. The storehouse we were in was old, older than the wedding hall. It was full of dry wood, dust, and abandoned crates. If a fire started anywhere close, it would spread fast, too fast. I scanned Olivia's face, seeing the same thought flash in her eyes. We need to move her, she said quickly, pointing at me. If the fire gets close, she'll die. That's not what I want. The man glared at her. And you think I care? Dead or alive, she's still leverage. Olivia's face twisted in shock. You're sick. But before he could respond, something slammed into the side of the storehouse, a loud bang that shook the cracked walls. Dust fell from the ceiling like rain. Olivia screamed and stumbled backward. I gasped, jerking against the ropes again. What was that? She cried. The man didn't answer. He unbolted the door an inch and peeked through the crack. And then he froze. A thick cloud of black smoke rolled across the compound, covering everything. In the distance, people were shouting, running. Flames from another small structure near the hall lit the sky with an orange glow. The wedding was turning into chaos. Someone started the fire on purpose, the man muttered, stepping back and slamming the door shut again. Olivia grabbed his sleeve. Purpose? What do you mean purpose? You said no one else knew we were here. I said what I needed to say, he growled. She shook her head. No, this wasn't supposed to happen. Her voice cracked. Her eyes were filled with wild fear. The world was falling apart around her, and for the first time since this nightmare began, she looked like a woman who had completely lost control of her life. Stop acting like a child, the man snapped. We have bigger problems. I felt sick. My family was out there. My grandchildren, my friends, my son. And now a fire was spreading, threatening to destroy everything. Please, I whispered, my throat dry. Let me go. I won't scream. I won't run. Just let me help. The man turned sharply toward me. Shut up. Olivia hesitated, just for a moment, but that moment was enough for me to see doubt written all over her face. She wasn't just scared of the fire. She was scared of the man she had partnered with, scared of what he might do once things spiraled even more out of control. Then, from outside, another scream pierced the air. Someone help, the fire is spreading. It sounded like one of the wedding guests. The fear in her voice was so sharp it sliced through the thick atmosphere in the storehouse. Olivia pressed her hands to her ears. No, this is all wrong. This is all so wrong. The man's jaw tightened. We need to move, now. He marched toward me and began pulling the chair away from the wall. The legs screeched on the floor, sending sharp jolts of fear through my chest. Where are you taking me? I whispered. Somewhere safer, he said without looking at me. You don't die until I say so. Those words chilled me to my bones. As he dragged me, Olivia paced nervously behind him. This wasn't the deal, she muttered. We were supposed to take her quietly, call the family, get the money, let her go before anyone noticed. The man laughed under his breath. You think things ever go according to plan? Wake up. He reached the back door of the storehouse, which led to a narrow corridor connecting to the next building. Just as he unlocked it, a loud explosion ripped through the air. The entire ground shook beneath us. Olivia screamed. I flinched so hard the chair nearly tipped over. The man spun around, eyes wide. What was that? I shouted, breathless. A glowing flash lit the small window. A second later, debris hit the roof like hail. Someone outside was shouting, "The generator exploded! Move back, move back!" Generator. My heart dropped. The wedding venue's backup generator was near the hall, close to where the fire had started. Panic surged through my body. If the fire had reached the generator, things were much worse than we imagined. We need to get out, Olivia cried. We can't stay here, we caw. For once, the man said through gritted teeth, you're right. He bent down to untie my ankles, but not my wrists. Why are you still keeping her tied? Olivia yelled. She can't run, she's old. The man glared at her, his expression sharp enough to cut. Old people run when they're scared, he snapped. She stays tied. Olivia shook her head furiously. This is stupid. We don't even know who started the fire. What if someone is coming here next? What if? Her voice trailed off. Her eyes shifted to the window. Slowly, fear drained color from her face. Look, she whispered. The man marched to the window, annoyance twisting his face. But when he looked outside, his anger vanished. His eyes widened. My stomach tightened. What is it? I whispered. No one answered me. But they didn't have to. I could hear it myself, seconds later. Footsteps. Not running like the panicked wedding guests. Walking. Slow. Heavy. Purposeful. Crunching through burnt wood and shattered glass. Getting closer. And closer. And closer. Olivia backed away from the window. No, no, tell me that's not who I think it is. The man swallowed hard, his face turning pale. He whispered one word. A name. A name that changed everything. They found us. Then, a fist smashed against the back door so violently the wood cracked. Olivia shrieked. The man pulled out a knife. I shut my eyes. The nightmare had reached a new level. The real danger had arrived. This story will continue in my next video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to this channel for more interesting videos.